Hey everyone, and welcome back to NexGen News. I'm Giovanna.
And I'm Trenton.
And this is NexGen News. We're excited you tuned into the show today.
We sure are. Now, let's take a trip to Hollywood for our first story.
Hey Trenton, did you see that the Hollywood's famous Cinerama Dome Theater has closed permanently?
What? No, that can't be. It's a Hollywood icon. I watched all the adventure movies there.
Unfortunately, it's true, and a lot of movie theaters have closed this past year due to the pandemic and because streaming services have taken over the entertainment industry.
Ugh, streaming services.
What do you mean, ugh? Don't you watch streamers, Netflix, Hulu, Disney+?
Yeah, I do, but nothing beats watching a movie in the theater.
I disagree. Streamers are greater than theaters.
What?
Let me tell you why. Streaming services have been growing in popularity for years, but when the pandemic hit and movie theaters were closed to the public, streaming subscriptions truly soared. Netflix broke records in 2020 with 37 million new subscribers and surpassed 200 million total subscribers worldwide, the most for any streaming service. I mean, if you're stuck at home, why not Netflix and snacks, right?
Netflix and snacks. Netflix and snacks.
That's the spirit, Oscar. But even before the pandemic, movie theaters were struggling more than usual. Not only were streaming services becoming more popular, but younger generations were getting their entertainment in a shorter video format, TikTok. TikTok has revolutionized the way some people consume content. Instead of a 2-hour movie in a theater, it's 15 seconds on a phone. Although, let's be real, whoever just goes on TikTok for 15 seconds, it probably ends up equaling out to 2 hours anyways. But with apps like TikTok and streaming services making video content so readily available at home or on the go, younger generations aren't going out to the movies as much. And finally, streaming services and apps are much more cost efficient than going to a movie theater. For the price of one movie ticket, you can get an entire month subscription to a streaming service with endless entertainment.
I hear you, especially about the cost part, but let's not play. TikTok is not even close to the movie theater experience. The smell of that popcorn, the sweet icy that turns your tongue that perfect shade of blue, those big cushy red seats, and that big bright screen that just widens your eyes. The best.
I'm not really a popcorn person.
What? I'm not sure we could be friends. I'm just kidding. But going to the movies is the best, although it's no secret that movie theaters have been struggling recently. Let's take a closer look. Not surprisingly, movie ticket sales were lowest in 2020 than any year on record. But movie tickets have been on a downward trend for a while. If we take a look at this graph, we can see that since 1980, the year with the highest number of ticket sales was 2002, with over 1.5 billion tickets sold in theaters. Since then, we can see a slow decline followed by a full-on deep nosedive in 2020. So besides the pandemic, what accounts for this decline in ticket sales? Well, we have Giovanna's beloved streaming services to thank for that. During the pandemic, streaming services have secured their position in entertainment even more, as many movies bypassed going to the theaters altogether and went straight to streaming at home. As theaters start to open again, some movies will premiere in theaters, but some will go straight to streaming. So the question is, will movie theaters survive? In a recent interview, actor Tom Hanks, famous for a lot of things, but my personal favorite, Forrest Gump, shared his opinion about this question by saying, will movie theaters still exist? Absolutely they will. Big event motion pictures are going to rule the day at the cinemas. Hanks went on to clarify that big budget movies such as Marvel will definitely be in theaters, but smaller movies may not anymore. So what does the rest of Hollywood think? Will movie theaters survive in the post-pandemic future? Let's now hear from actress Gal Gadot, aka Wonder Woman, film producer and writer Eddie Huang, and the man, the myth, the legend, James Cameron, director of my favorite movie, The Titanic.
It'll be a mix. I don't think that the theaters are going anywhere. I think that, just like live concerts that we all love to go to, the theaters is just, they give us a different experience. I know I would not give up on going to the theater, but there's definitely going to be a mix with the streamers.
I do think that there is going to be a movement back to theaters, especially because when we get to go outside, people are going to miss that experience. And at least, maybe I'm just really hopeful. I think theaters will stick around because they're so important. it's not the same to watch a film at home. That's not why we make it, you know. It's like eating food without a plate, and it's cool. You can stand and eat, but like it's better with a plate and a fork and a knife.
It's the only place where the art dominates. When you watch something on streaming, the other people in the room with you are welcome to interject, to pause, to go to the bathroom, to text, to do other things. It's the only place where we literally make a pact with ourselves to go and spend 2 to 3 hours in a focused enjoyment of the art piece.
Maybe they're right. There is something special about watching in a theater. Like Eddie Huang said, you can eat food without a plate, but it's better with a plate and a fork and a knife.
Exactly. You can watch streamers at home, but it's better in a theater with hot, buttery popcorn.
No to popcorn, but yes to red vines.
All right, Giovanna, let's go see a movie. Red Vine's on me. Giovanna, if you could make the world a better place with a snap of your finger, what would you do?
Like a humanitarian wish?
Yeah.
I think I would end war and violence. Oh, and get equal rights for women worldwide.
Those are definitely important.
What about you, Trenton?
I think I would end homelessness.
That's a good one. Living in Los Angeles, homelessness is an issue I see every day, everywhere.
Same. I know a snap of the finger won't solve this problem, but there's gotta be something we can do.
I think we should investigate this issue more.
You thinking what I'm thinking?
Yep. Let's now head to Oscar for this week's edition of NexGen Investigates.
Hey NexGen viewers, Oscar here for an important edition of NexGen Investigates. Today we're investigating homelessness in Los Angeles, but also across the country. Unfortunately, this is a huge problem nationwide. When talking about homelessness, it's important to know that the proper terminology to use is people who are at risk of homelessness or who are experiencing homelessness, meaning individuals or families who do not have a permanent home or residence. Statistics about people experiencing homelessness are staggering. According to the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development, in 2019, approximately 567,000 people experienced homelessness. In a single night, it is estimated that 17 in every 10,000 people in the U.S. experience homelessness. And these numbers are probably low, given data is difficult to track for this population. The states with the highest numbers of unhoused individuals are New York and California. In 2019, New York had about 92,000 people experience homelessness, and California had over 151,000 people. New York may have the second highest rate of people experiencing homelessness in the country, but New York is very unique in how it assists these individuals and families in need. And the 1979 court case, Callahan v. Carey, is to thank for that. Callahan v. Carey was a class action suit by advocates for the unhoused. In this case, the New York County Supreme Court ruled that New York must provide shelter for unhoused individuals. To this day, you won't see many tents on the sidewalks in New York City. That's because the city is responsible for sheltering anyone experiencing homelessness. In 2019, New York City spent about $3.2 billion to house people experiencing homelessness and contracted about 70 nonprofit groups that run shelters in the city. This housing system is not cheap nor perfect. These shelters are overrun and overcrowded and require individuals to wait in line for hours to get a bed. But New York City does have a statewide system in place. California, on the other hand, does not. In California, there are more people experiencing homelessness than any other state. And the COVID-19 pandemic only increased the unhoused epidemic in California. Unlike New York, many of these individuals are not in shelters. In major cities such as San Francisco and Los Angeles, there has been a huge increase in tents lining the streets. Some people even named these areas tent cities. In Los Angeles, California, areas such as Skid Row near downtown have streets full of tents. And in Venice Beach, tents are lined up like dominoes. At Echo Park Lake, in another part of Los Angeles, police recently led a raid to remove all tents from a homelessness encampment in the area and offer temporary housing elsewhere. This raid was met with protests from locals. You may be asking yourself, why would they protest free housing? Well, A lot of it depends on the type of housing. Temporary housing, as the name implies, is a temporary or non-permanent solution. Many people experiencing homelessness would rather continue living on their own than move to temporary housing and be back on the streets again soon. But it is a good question. Do people experiencing homelessness want shelter? Let's now hear from Dr. Coley King, Director of Homeless Healthcare at Venice Family Clinic.
There is a common perception that people don't want housing, and I believe for the most part that's absolutely not true. They may not be ready for the form of housing that has been presented to them at that point, but with addressing them, with addressing their needs, with meeting them in street medicine, with meeting their mental health needs, meeting their addiction needs, people can be ready for housing, and I think most of the individuals out here do want to be indoors, and when they are ready, we can move them into a much safer situation.
Dr. Coley King is right. Shuffling people around between temporary housing is not working. So what can be done to solve this homelessness crisis? Well, housing is certainly part of the puzzle, but it's just one piece. To solve this problem, there needs to be a coordinated approach. That includes housing, but also programs and services that rehabilitate people and get them back on their feet. This can include things such as food, access to free mental and physical health care, career services to help individuals train for and get a sustainable job, and education services. So what can you do? The best way to support people experiencing homelessness is to get involved with an organization. That is part of their support network. Here in Los Angeles, my favorite organization, the Midnight Mission, is a comprehensive homeless shelter and homeless services provider. I look forward to volunteering there this summer. Now it's your turn. Do some research to find an organization in your community that is working to end homelessness. See how you can get involved. For now, I'm Oscar, and thanks for tuning in to the special report of NexGen Investigates.
Giovanna, game time, quick.
Categories.
Oh, you love this one. Okay, category is dinosaurs.
Velociraptor.
Pterodactyl.
Stegosaurus.
Triceratops.
T-Rex.
Oh my gosh, speaking of T-Rex, I just read there was 2.5 billion of them.
I guess the game's over.
Oh, yeah, sorry. It's just really interesting.
2.5 billion, you say? At the same time. That seems pretty crowded.
Oh, not at the same time. I thought that too. Clickbait will get you every time. It was how many they think existed total.
That doesn't seem like that many total. There's almost 8 billion humans now.
Yeah, Giovanna, this was 66 million years ago. They didn't have internet. Things have changed. Let me break it down for you. Researchers have revealed what they believe to be the total number of T-Rexes to exist on the Earth before the massive extinction of 3/4 of life by an asteroid that hit Mexico. They were able to calculate life expectancy, body mass, geographical range, walking speed, more on that in a minute, and the total number that existed on Earth at a single time. The largest known T-Rex is named Sue, and she resides at the Field Museum in Chicago. She's over 40 feet long, is estimated to weigh about 9 tons, and lived about 33 years. These school bus-sized legends have been discovered all the way up in Canada, all the way down to New Mexico. 20,000 was the magic number for T-Rexes on Earth at a single time. Researchers believe that the population density was about 1 T-Rex for every 40 square miles. Now, let's hear from Charles Marshall, the director of the University of California Museum of Paleontology, to hear how they made the newest discoveries.
The key step is using data from living animals where there's a clear relationship between population density, the number of individuals per unit area, and body mass. There are relatively few elephants, there are a lot more zebra, there are bucket loads of rabbits and mice. We computed the generation time for the first time at about 19 years. The geologic longevity is roughly 2.5 million years. That means it lasted for about 125,000 generations. Our species has been around for about 1/10 that, and multiplying the number of generations by the standing population size gave us the 2.5 billion.
The big takeaways include average weight of about 5.8 tons and a lifespan of about 28 years. Our girl Sue really is a legend, outweighing and outliving the average T-Rex.
She is a legend. And you mentioned something about speed?
Oh, right. Turns out we could actually take a casual walk with a T-Rex and not have to jog to keep up.
Really? That's not what I was expecting to hear.
Right? Let's take a look.
So if you're interested in the walking speed, it's not enough to estimate the step frequency. You also want to know how far apart each foot is placed. In other words, you need to know the step length. We estimated the step length by scaling up a fossilized trackway from a slightly smaller tyrannosaurid up to Trix's size. Next, if you multiply step length by step frequency, you get a walking speed that's slightly faster than 4.5 kilometers an hour.
That's pretty cool, but I'd still rather not go on a walk with a T-Rex.
Well, you don't have to worry about that. They were long gone by the time people turned up, by around 60 million years. I can't wait until they're able to predict a running speed. Then we can learn who would win, T-Rex versus Usain Bolt.
Maybe it's a good thing they're long gone. I think we would get way too close and end up dinner.
You're probably right.
So Trenton, you know how you're afraid of robots taking over the world?
So you have been watching my TikTok.
I have, which is why I wanted to tell you about some robots making a positive impact.
I'm not so sure about that. I've been doing a lot of research on TikTok, and the Nobot community believes that robots will be replacing humans by the year 2090.
Okay, two things. First, you need to stop letting TikTok auto-scroll. And second, these robots are actually helping by replacing humans.
How is that even possible?
Well, because these robots are designed to help children with autism develop their social skills.
Okay, you have my attention. However, I remain skeptical.
All right, I'll explain. If you aren't aware of autism spectrum disorder, or ASD for short, it is defined by the American Psychiatric Association as a complex developmental condition that involves persistent challenges in social interaction, speech, and nonverbal communication, as well as restrictive and/or repetitive behaviors. The effect of ASD and severity of symptoms are different in each person. People with ASD can often experience the world much different than those without. For example, they can hear sounds more intensely because their brains cannot tune them out the same way people without ASD are able to. Or a new surrounding can be wildly overstimulating, causing a person with ASD to act out of the accepted social norms. A program in Hong Kong called Robots for Autism Behavioral Intervention uses adorable social robots to help children ages 3 to 18 with ASD to become more social and develop tools to resolve issues like conflicts and bullying. Let's take a look at these helpful little cuties in action and hear more details on how they're being effective.
Sky, calm down. What happened?
It's Bean. He finished my snacks without asking me.
Let's try calming down and slowly count to 10.
These individuals with the autism, they have low motivation interacting with the human beings, and also they have the hypersensitivities to the sensation around the world, for example the human facial expressions or the human voices. So we use the social robots to teach them the social skills in order to reduce their anxiety, and also to make sure that our program is predictable and also structured.
Over 1,200 children have used the program since it began in 2015. A parent whose child is in the program said that her 5-year-old has started asking people's names and who they are, and has gone from speaking only one word to using vocabulary and forming sentences. More than 20 nonprofit groups have adopted the program in hopes that it will help fight against the exclusion that individuals with ASD experience. Here in the US, the month of April is often recognized as Autism Awareness Month. But in an effort to foster change and inclusivity for those affected by autism, the Autism Society of America has called to amend the name to Autism Acceptance Month. The president and CEO of the Autism Society of America, Christopher Banks, says, "While we will always work to spread awareness, words matter as we strive for autistic individuals to live fully in all areas of life. As many individuals and families affected by autism know, acceptance is often one of the biggest barriers in finding and developing a strong support system." From things as simple as changing a single word to complex technology like interactive robots, steps across the globe are being taken to help people with ASD live and thrive in their communities. So Trenton, have you had a change of heart about the robots?
Giovanna, I didn't want to believe that robots could be anything other than power-hungry human destroyers. But today, that all changed at the sight of those adorable little actor robots that are helping children learn to socialize. How could I have ever thought something so terrible about such beautiful, helpful pieces of technology?
I agree. They're very cute and they're doing a great service for people with autism.
I'm going to make a TikTok about it right now, about how robots are incredible. We need to make as many helpful robots as possible. I think the story's going to change the minds of a lot of other no-bots out there. Well, NexGen viewers, that about wraps up our show for today.
We hope you learned something about the homelessness crisis in America, autism acceptance, and our pal, the T-Rex.
And don't forget, movie theaters are better than streamers.
Okay, let's let the viewers figure that out on their own. For now, I'm Giovanna.
And I'm Trenton.
And we are NexGen News,
bringing news to the next generation.